The 2014 League of Legends Pro League Summer Playoffs. My name is Reed Rapid Melton. Joining me is Dominic Nero Dabrowski. Tonight, we're going to take one step closer to crowning the 2014 LPL Summer Champion. We're going to turn to a rematch tonight between Starhorn Royal Club and kind of their arch nemesis for this tournament in OMG. Two of the top teams from LPL all season long, and they've clashed not once but now twice in these summer playoffs. It was a reverse all-kill for our first performance where Starhorn Royal Club came off to a strong two-game start. And OMG, they smelled blood in the water, and they finished the series off with a three-game streak to pick up the win. But then after losing their best of 5 series 3-1 versus Edward Gaming, they find themselves in the same position, facing Starhorn once again.
Oh yeah, and as I said yesterday, it's all about the communication right there. OMG had the time and had the communication to just talk during the break and figure out what Starhorn was doing. Figured out how to go up against them and win the games. So now that Starhorn had a longer break with the translators, probably they now know how to play against OMG. So we'll get to see if Starhorn once again go 2-0 up and then lose, or if they finally can close out this best of 5.
And closing things out is kind of the bane of Starhorn right now. They picked up 2 incredibly strong early games. Their first game versus OMG was just incredible. And here you can see the caster predictions on your screen. We've got a 1-3, a 2-3, and a 3-2. So 2 out of 3 of the casters predicting a Starhorn win, with only one, and then by the narrowest of margins, predicting a win for OMG. And Nero, that's a little bit backwards from what we've seen for most of the season, with OMG kind of way at the top of the standings and Starhorn kind of hovering around 4th place.
Oh yeah, definitely. Starhorn stepped it up at the very ending of the regular split, and at the very beginning actually, when the Korean players joined them, there were very huge questions if they can even make it to the playoffs, because they didn't have the synergy at all. It was Insec shot calling, while UZI was also shot calling, so it was all about the stars, and they didn't really have the synergy. Then they figured it out, and now they are at the top. And everyone expected them to win against OMG in the first matchup, but then they lost, so it's hard to predict this match.
Absolutely, and like you said, Starhorn Royal Club come into these finals on an incredible winning streak. Like, they were looking so strong coming into the playoffs, but they're facing an OMG tonight that is revitalized. They might have lost their series versus Edward Gaming, but versus Starhorn, it appears like they just have their numbers. 57% win rate, and that's after their 3-1 defeat. Looking incredibly strong coming into these playoffs. So OMG, they're actually the team that I favor, but that's primarily off of their mid laner Cool, who in their last 2 games, like I said, smelled blood in the water and just dominated. Now, you can see the man with a plan on your screen right now, going. He is the incredibly versatile top laner for OMG, but with the last 3 games played on Aurelia, they were kind of hit and miss. 1 win, 2 defeats, and an ultimate loss regardless of those Aurelia games versus EDG. See if he mixes things up a lot, or a little bit more here in this series. In the last time that OMG played Starhorn in the upper bracket, Going actually played 4 different champions over the course of their 5 games. And you're looking at the guy on your screen right now, Drug, who has actually played a lot more Lee Sin than you'd expect here in the finals, especially versus Insec, a guy that you'd expect to grab the Lee Sin every time he could. And it'll be interesting to see who gets Lee Sin, because I don't expect to be banned with mid laners like this guy. This is Cool, and Cool drew some incredible ban stats for him. I believe they banned his Rise a lot, and it was actually his Ahri and, surprisingly enough, his Yasuo that carried OMG to victory, of course, with Orianna not being available all the time too. But talk about Cool, Nero. This guy is kind of the backbone of OMG.
Yeah, actually, coming back to going, his Aurelia also forced a ban in one of the games against Starhorn. And talking about Cool, he's just incredibly versatile. You said that for going, but Cool, he's the guy that can pretty much play everything at a top level. He couldn't really play Yasuo, but then he played a lot of it on solo queue on the Korean server and stepped it up and comes back to the competitive scene and wins the game with it. And an impressive game. So if this guy commits himself to training one champion, he will come back with this champion and completely destroy everyone.
But the big wild card tonight for OMG is the same one coming into this playoffs. It's going to be Dada7 in the bottom lane, or Dada77, or I think sometimes he has 3 sevens. I don't know what he's going for there, but Dada has been very hit or miss, and especially replacing Cloud for in the finals. A lot of people had an equally large amount of questions about his playstyle, but coming up with 2 very big Braum wins in the last 2 games versus Starhorn. Really helped his team win and looks stronger than ever. So Dada maybe looking good coming into these finals. But now we get to go over to their opponents. It's Starhorn with only 4 less percentage points in their percentage of victories coming into tonight's game. They have the hardest road to the finals of any team, having to win all the way through the losers bracket and then still take the winner's final match. Let's go ahead and introduce their roster. You can see Zero, he's a big fan of Braum there himself. The last 3 games coming his way, and those actually include some victories. Whereas, of course, OMG coming into this game off of defeats.
Yes, and Zero's Braum is still undefeated. So as you said, Dada7 had an impressive Braum performance. So this champion is definitely going to be a contested one. And we have UZI on up screens right now. I am still waiting for the Vayne pick. Maybe today, maybe he's just saving it for the grand final. But first they have to make it there. So I hope that he comes up with the aces in this matchup.
You can see big cheers for UZI, but also some pretty decent cheers for Korn. And you can see an anomaly that will never happen in this series, and that is Korn actually getting a chance to play Fizz versus LGD, which has been permabanned against him. 5 out of 5 games between OMG and Starhorn their first time around. There were Fizz bans, and for a very good reason. That guy is incredible on Fizz. You're never going to see that here tonight. But Insec, getting a Rengar game in there, probably might be able to get a Lee Sin game in tonight. Neither team really banned Lee Sin in their previous meetings in the upper brackets, so coming tonight, Lee Sin could be an option for Insec, even though he's been doing very well with Jarvan and including that Rengar game.
Yeah, when they faced off LGD, there were the Lee Sin bans because both of the junglers really liked this champion. While it was unbanned when LGD had the first pick, so Chuan played it, then Insec just played the Jarvan that you saw on his record. But yeah, definitely the Rengar is one of his strongest champions, and not a lot of junglers in China actually like to play Rengar lately.
And a lot of times it wasn't actually Insec just being a god at Rengar, which he definitely was. It was his team saying, hey, Rengar is essential to our team composition. Let's go ahead and lock that one down. But hopping into picks and bans for game number 1, it's OMG versus Starhorn. And if history repeats itself, OMG should go for Yasuo, Fizz, and Braum bans. But it could switch things up if they have to ban a tanky top laner. But like we said, guaranteed every single game, they're banning Fizz.
It could happen, but actually maybe they wait for Starhorn to ban this Yasuo now that Cole proved he can also play this champion. And talking about Cola in the top lane, he picked up his first Irelia yesterday and played it quite well. So maybe he's looking to take this pick away from Gogoing. Oh, 3 bans from the mid lane.
Oh my gosh, but speaking of 3 bans, Starhorn Royal Club, they triple banned Gogoing. That's some respect right there. Gogoing with an incredibly versatile champion pool, but now he's without 3 of his main champions top lane, so he does still have options with things like Jax, things like Shyvana, a lot of options there, but if it works, they're going to go for Dada's pick in the Braum, and that's something that did work very well for OMG, probably the best out of all of his supports.
This is just huge. 3 mid lane bans from OMG, 3 top lane bans from Starhorn, so it leaves Braum and Thresh open. And of course there's no ban targeted against Insec. As you said, there's not going to be a lot of Lee Sin bans, but I hope to see his Rengar yet again.
Now they're hovering over a Jarvan the 4th, and honestly, if you want Lee Sin for Insect, that's a great pickup, and it's really hard to deny. But the consistency from Insect's Jarvan has been what has been, I guess, a little bit of a safer pick to go for. That is Lee Sin, which has been a little bit hit or miss. Of course, those are the only two options. But I'll lock in on now the Lulu here, and this is actually pretty strange because Lulu's very versatile. Zero, Corn, and Cola all play the champion, so a little bit of versatility there. Should be mid lane for Corn, as I believe he did actually bust that out in one of their games earlier on. Yeah, it was actually game 5. He played Lulu versus Cool's Rise and got destroyed. So maybe a Rise pickup coming in. It's a very highly contested champion. Something that I actually think Starhorn might grab here.
Yeah, I expected Starhorn to ban Rise, and now that they hovered over him, I thought that they will lock him in. But no, they switched over to Lulu. So maybe now. And actually, Zero, he loves to play this Braum. He is undefeated on the Braum, but he can also play something like Nami, Sona, Thresh. Oh, UZI.
UZI, don't do it. He hasn't locked it in yet, but he's hovering over a Vayne, and the Vayne train is something that UZI rode to one of the only pentakills in this split of LPL. Doesn't quite pick it up yet. He doesn't know what he's going into. That Kog'Maw could be a mid lane Kog'Maw, so always want to keep that in mind. But with a hover over of the Zilean, this actually could be 80 carry Kog'Maw and a Zilean for Cool in the mid lane. Probably not going to pick the LeBlanc there, but he locks in Fizz. That's a little bit surprising, considering that he doesn't really know what he's up against in the lane matchup.
Ziggs, not Fizz. But yeah, most probably it is Lulu, since there is no 80 carry only. So one of the champions picked up already should be the mid lane champions. And wow, UZI hasn't played both Tristana and Vayne for a long time, and now he goes for one of them.
So this is actually really surprising. I didn't expect to see San on Kog'Maw. I don't think he played it at all in... okay, no, he played it in their first game. But it kind of got dominated by UZI's Corki. But this time around, it's a battle of the hyper carries down there in the bottom lane with should just be some AFK pushing in the mid. But the big difference comes from the top lane, where Going is playing a little bit more of a hyper carry champion, whereas the scaling for Mundo is fine as far as tank stats are concerned, but he's just not going to be able to handle Jack's late game.
Yes, and it's a pick that Starhorn already referred to when they played against OMG in the previous Best of 5 series, and it was also questionable, so we'll see if Cola can pull this one off.
We'll get into game number 1 here in just a minute. Stick around. It's the LPL playoffs coming your way in English here on Twitch TV. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
这盘的选角来说，皇族是被针对的蛮惨的。我觉得针对玉米去做 BP，OMG 今天做的很聪明，
也是聪明。好，那么 OMG 对上皇族一个 BO5，现在第一场马上就要上演了，让我们一起来期待 OMG 对皇族的 BO5第一局。
每天睡个饱，还有燕窝蜂蜜柚子茶，蜂蜜带来健康，柚子带来美丽，健康美丽喝啥哟？燕窝蜂蜜柚子茶。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LPL Summer Playoffs. My name is Rapid, with me is Nero, and we're getting into our first game of the night. I'm not sure what's up with Insect's Jarvan, but it looks ridiculously tiny. It also has this health bar over the middle of his champion, which makes it a little difficult to see.
Yeah, probably it is some kind of a visual glitch, since it was like that throughout the whole playoffs.
Still a little bit funny, and he's running 21 offense on his Jarvan, so this is a very, very dangerous level 1 Jarvan, or level 2, you know, if he goes for that early, very early gank. But for the starting items, starting matchups as well, we're going to see tankiness versus aggression. That's going to be the sort of moniker of the top lane. That's what we're looking for there. And identical mirrored builds across the board. We also should see standard lane matchups, which is a huge buff for Insec, because he's traditionally, when you turn things into a 2v1, he has a little bit more of a trouble with his early jungle route and his the pressure that he's able to put on, but able to gank almost any lane off of this standard lane matchups is going to be really good. But now, oh, Dada and San, they're waiting to cheese down there in the bush, but don't go too aggressive, just put out some early damage on UZI.
Yeah, and Dada, he is the kind of a weak link for OMG. And it actually hurts them a lot because he faces UZI in the bottom lane, and UZI is one of the star carries for Starhorn. They always want him to get fed, to get farmed, and to carry the game.
Yeah. Some people actually say he is the star in Starhorn. He's a big name on the team, but he's up against some pretty big names here. And honestly, if you look at the carry potential from their first 5-game series, it was a battle between UZI and Cool, both of whom had their fair share of just absolutely monstrous games.
Yeah, definitely. And if Dada cannot step it up, UZI will get fed and will be this huge monster, especially sitting on a Tristana. OMG do have to watch out for this one, because Starhorn, usually they went for the early aggression, but now that they have the late game champions, it actually favors their inability to close the games out.
Now level 2 a little bit early for Dada and San. They'll use that level 2 advantage for a brief second before Zero and UZI hit their own level 2. So other than that, probably not a big shift in power here of the game, but I thought Corrin was actually moving over for the blue buff, but he's just doing it to place a ward and keep that blue buff safe and sound. Should see early farming from both junglers, no level 3 ganks or anything crazy like that, just farming up towards level 4, maybe even level 5. No early pressure for them just yet.
Well, definitely a lot of farm in the bottom lane, but the Insect is waiting there.
He did the standard trick over the wall where it's supposed to avoid any wards, but he actually did it right onto a ward. San narrowly sidesteps the death sentence, doesn't get knocked up. The summoner heal, giving him just enough move speed to stay alive. And now Dada 7's actually fighting this in a 2v1, and he's actually going to flash out alive. Dada is alive. UZI is trying to flash after him, but Drug's coming in from behind. UZI, he's not in a very good position. Drug, he's looking for the first kill onto the AD carry, but San grabs it away. It's 1 for 2 exchange. OMG with a huge fight off of Dada, just manning up and fighting 1v3.
Oh yeah, definitely. He stayed there with the Unbreakable, stopped a lot of damage, and that was so well played by San. As he said, he sidestepped both the knock-up and the death sentence, and not much happened to him.
I gotta give Dada credit for that. He was fighting 1v3 and I was like, why is Dada going back in? He's just gonna die. But that Unbreakable, like you said, so ridiculously tanky. And then he also had to stand behind me, so he was able to block out a lot of that damage with some extra resistances too. So just incredible play. Dada and San turning it around. Drug right where he needed to be. Maybe a little bit behind schedule, but right on time as far as OMG were concerned. They pick up 2 kills, and both of the kills were on the duo lane, so none of them got taken by the jungler. That means that in that 2v2 matchup, it's just going to be even stronger.
And that also gives Dada 7 a little bit of additional tankiness with this Ruby Crystal, so he'll come out on top. He doesn't really have to worry about being slightly inferior in skill.
Now, it wasn't just 2 champions returning to the bottom lane, it was actually Drug that came down there too, but very, very smart check of the brush by Zero. He was able to scout out that sneaky gank and send the spider back to the jungle.
Oh yeah, and all 4 summoner spells burned for Starhorn Royal Club in the bottom lane. The same goes for OMG, but it actually favors OMG a little bit more. Well, we'll get to see if Zero can pull off some crazy hooks, because now they need to come back into this lane. Actually, UZI got 1 kill, so it still is quite okay. But OMG, as I said, they do have the little advantage.
Insec around the mid lane, but not looking for any ganks just yet. I was rewatching the previous series between these 2 teams, and I was trying to come up with my favorite players, and just looking at all of their individual performances. Like, it's cool to watch guys like Cool and UZI just carry ridiculously hard. Cool had that big 20 kill Yasuo game that really shut up all of the haters of his Yasuo, and honestly there were a few, but he proved them all wrong. So I think Cool's going to be one of my favorite players coming into this and a big force for OMG over all of their games, or all three of them, versus Starhorn in their previous series. I think I figured out who your favorite player is, Nero.
I think you did. And I think most of the viewers actually figured it out by now, but well, let's go ahead and continue the game. As Insec will be looking for a gank in the bottom lane.
Yeah, he is coming in. He's waiting there in the same brush that Drug was actually in. But while Zero was actually really good at checking for that incoming gank from Drug, we'll see if Dada can find one. You can see he's checking the brush, making sure nobody is there, but he actually missed that. Winter's Bite onto Insec, who does actually back off. I think Dada kind of faked him out there and said, hey, get out of that brush, even though he didn't have a ward.
Now they put a ward right there, so Starhorn will not really have the chance to gank again. And, well, that's the story of Insec in the bottom lane. He jumps over the wall to not get spotted by a ward, but he gets spotted by a ward in the end. Now he goes into an unwarded brush and still thinks he's scouted out, so he cannot pull off a successful gank.
That was a pretty neat mind game. Not sure if it was necessarily intentional or not, but it worked out. Still the strength in that bottom lane, very far in favor of San and Dada 7. UZI comes back from base with an Avarice Blade, which is one of the worst early starts that you can have as far as trading potential, but it's great if you just want to farm out your lane because you get all that extra gold, because the stats just aren't there. It's essentially like buying a Brawler's Glove, and that's it. But you're spending 800 gold for it. You get the passive and some extra crit, but still nowhere near San and Dada 7, who are both hit that big early Ruby Crystal's power spike that just makes them really tanky in these all-ins.
And I'm not sure if that is the right choice for Starhorn right there in the bottom lane. I don't think that UZI can outfarm the only farm AD carry in the LPL. San just focuses on CSing so much. They usually go for the lane swap, just so he can easily farm without any enemies on his lane. And
Bottom lane,
UZI
there's
challenges
actually a lot of aggression. You can see Drug very unsure of where to go. Zero and UZI playing very far back in the lane. Nowhere near the creep wave. They know they're just going to get engaged on. So that's why Insect's down there. He was looking to help them out if there was an engage and maybe go for the counter gank, but Drug decided to back off. So just a very passive play. And San and Dada 7 really owning that bottom lane after those early kills gave them that advantage.
Yeah, and OMG have the CS advantage in every single lane. So Starhorn, they need to make a move finally, and Dragon is available. It's getting close to the 10th minute. So something should happen around this area, and a little bit of time.
Now, OMG's team composition is heavily invested in the late game. They've got Kog'Maw, Jax, and Ziggs. So maybe the early fighting, not what they want to go for, but Dada's going to force it in before they get a chance. He will use the stand behind me to get out, but look at Insec. He goes in with the dunk. He gets right back out of there again, and he actually might die if Drug goes deep, but one more auto attack. No. Insec gets out of there alive. The Death Sentence will actually hook that underneath the turret, but is he going to be able to get out of there alive? He gets jumped on. There's the slow. The Wild Growth coming in saves UZI's life, but now Drug desperately trying to escape. One more auto attack will take him down, and it's UZI. No, it's Korn. Picks up the kill on to Drug. A safe and sound retreat for OMG, but then San got hooked in there. Then Drug died, and it was just a big turnaround for Starhorn.
Yeah, and this time around it's Starhorn coming out heavily on top, and UZI got one of these kills. The other one gave him an assist, and the rocket jump resets are there.
I'm not sure why San was even that far forward trying to hit the turret. I mean, Dada had just gotten hooked underneath there, so he was in full retreat mode. I think San still wanted to get something done there, but gets hooked and makes him pay. So Starhorn back on the map in the bottom lane with 2 kills going over to UZI.
Yeah, and actually Dada 7, before he even knew that Insect was coming to the lane, he threw a Winter's Bite into the Thry-Brush. That was extremely intelligent. And he caught Insect off guard.
And that's
he didn't have any
second
vision
time
right there.
he's done that this game too, so he's really on point this game. And his Braum is arguably his best champion.
Oh yeah, definitely. He showed a lot of Thresh And then this Braum came into play, and now he proves that he can play it all.
San once again jukes into the hook, but an immediate teleport in the bottom lane. Going's coming down. He's gonna get flayed backwards, but he flashes immediately back on the UZI. Drugs back there, and it's a 4v3. Cola, he TP bottom, but it's not in time, and he will go down in the middle of 4 champions. And out of nowhere, OMG materialized 5-man strong in the bottom lane. They grab 2 kills and a dragon off the back of it, right back in the lead.
And everything that happens in the game happens in the bottom lane. And every single time 2 kills go down there. OMG once again come back into the driver's seat, but now they get the dragon pickup, so they have the gold lead, and actually they have 1 turret advantage also.
Now Going, one of his strengths as a top laner, not only champion versatility and matchup knowledge, but it's his ability to use teleport incredibly intelligently. He was the one that turned that bottom fight around. I'm not sure if he was just like, hey San, you should totally bait that fight out.
Another hook. But
he definitely did. Now Dada was able to use the stand behind me to retreat just a little bit, but look at that, the jump in from UZI, and immediate wind is bright, but can UZI get out of there alive? The flashback in from San, and he'll pick up the kill. Now Zero in full retreat mode, backs off to the river, and wisely enough, San does not chase, knowing that Korn could definitely come down.
Oh wow, and San got the kill on UZI. I thought that the reset is gonna grant UZI's life, or maybe he would want to go for San to even get another kill, but nope, didn't really pull anything off right there.
What's more, I think that was a killing spree bonus for San. I didn't catch the gold, but it was 3 kills on UZI, and he got shut down in the end. So some big money coming San's way, and you can see that materialized in a Trinity Force at 13 minutes versus UZI, who's only got a static shiv.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely be looking for this big attack damage item for quite a long time right now, UZI. A 3k gold advantage in favor of OMG already. And look at Insec, he's looking for something to happen in the top lane. Finally, the action transitioning onto the other lanes.
And while the reaction may be on the other lanes, all the action so far has been bottom. It's just been an incredible focus on both of these hyper carries, and this is really a shift back to what we used to see from LPL, even as far back as a couple seasons ago. It was all about the AD carries. You try to pick hyper carries, funnel as much gold and CS as you possibly can into them, and then just pray that they carry you late game. And that's definitely what both of these teams have been doing with all this gank pressure and focus down to the bottom lane.
And it's definitely Starhorn coming out on the backside of it all. Look at this. UZI is level 7 compared to level 9 from San. This Kog'Maw is gonna be stronger than this Tristana for quite a long time.
Yeah, strong Maw down there. San has been eating up everything as the Maw of the Void. The other big thing that we have to keep an eye on, like we said, it's not just San that's been carrying out his team, it's been Cool. And if you take a look mid lane, even without one of Wayless's Spectral Wraith builds, Cool definitely still has the advantage. He's 20 CS up. He hasn't roamed for the kill like Korn did earlier on, but he's still right up there in items, and he actually has an entire 1100 gold boost over Korn, having already picked up those Sorcerer's Shoes instead of going for double Doran's rings.
Yeah, and we also still have the advantage in every single lane in favor of OMG in terms of CS. Cool, looking for a roam down bottom.
I feel like both top laners just aren't trying to touch each other at all until their teleports are up, and then they're just going to TP for these big team fights. But speaking of big team fights, setting up around Dragon, OMG really setting up for some nice ward coverage, but oh, Cool might be in a little bit of trouble. He takes the Glitter Lance underneath the turret, walked the wrong way around, and good job by Korn making him pay. Drug, though, he's going to come in, the flashback in, Cool is going to get knocked back up there, the Mega Inferno Bomb comes up, and Drug turns it back around. It's a counter kill as Cool and Korn both take each other out.
Oh yeah, and I think that it worked out a little bit better for Korn. Now he has 2 kills instead of just 1, and he can make it back in gold. As he said, there is a little bit of an advantage in favor of Cool. So now Korn can pick up the boots.
Well, if you look at the overall gold count, OMG actually got both a kill and an assist off of that, whereas Corrin only got the kill. So maybe a little bit more gold going over to OMG, but like you said, now Corrin just has the ability to go back and buy, and actually instead of buying boots at all, because of course Lulu gets extra move speed based on AP for her Whimsy, he just picks up a needlessly large rod. The only problem is Cool's got a needlessly large rod of his own.
Yeah, and that is the problem. I thought that Corrin could pick up an item that Cool couldn't, but actually that didn't happen, and we really have Cool in a little bit of gold advantage in the middle lane, and actually it's just spreading for OMG. They get a little bit more with every single CS that flows into San's pocket, into Going's pocket, and the dragon will be spawning in just a minute, so OMG have their eyes on this objective.
And it's not just the eyes that they have on this objective, it's the wards. And you'll actually see Drug make a special trip over here just to see if he can find any wards to clear out. He'll actually miss one of them, but should be able to find the ward in the Pixel Brush because he just finished clearing a ward there a little bit earlier on. But right on time, you can see Insect knows the Dragon Timer, and he'll actually be making his presence known around the bottom half of the map as well. Both Cola and Going have their teleports available, and that is really going to be key when we come into this dragon fight.
Oh yeah, and we'll see if Starhorn decides to teleport down there. Seems like they will be looking to lose the turret, actually.
Now, Dada walked behind the turret, and he actually got his safeguard, or his stand behind me canceled by an excellent death sentence from Zero. Incredibly well played there. Zero just almost single-handedly killing Dada 7 when he went a little bit too over-aggressive and missed his winner's bite.
And UZI went for a little bit of risky rocket jump just to clear out the minions to stop the turret push, but it will go down.
Oh, Drug forcing a flash backwards. I think that flashback was Zero rather. Shoutouts to NIP top laner. But Going in the top lane, he is the one that was able to cancel Cola's teleport. So usually Going's the first one to TP, and he'll be able to complete that because Mundo has no CC. But if Cola wants to TP, Going can actually stop his teleport with a counter-strike and then TP himself bottom lane.
Oh, yeah, that is the big thing for OMG in the top lane. But still, as I said, the question is, will they really want to teleport? And they didn't. And it's a free dragon for OMG. And as I said, the gold lead is just extending more and more in favor of the blue team.
Advantages almost in every single lane for OMG when you look at top lane assists and CS, but oh, it actually might be an advantage here for Insect and Zero. Why Zero top lane? That's what Going's thinking. He's gonna get dunked on, but he flashes away immediately. Of course, that wasn't enough to save his life. A big gank pressure top lane from Starhorn, and that might actually open up an opportunity for OMG to take this second tier bottom lane turret.
Oh, and UZI has to watch out right there.
Gets hit by the cocoon, but Rocket jumps it away, destroying the hitbox. And now the big question is for OMG is, can they make Insect pay for going for that top lane gank? And I think the answer is actually no. They don't go for the second tier turret. They'll just back off instead.
Starhorn now come out on top in kills, but still it's 2 turrets and 2 dragons advantage in favor of OMG right now. And as you said, we have a little bit better kill distribution coming out from OMG. We have 1 on their jungler, 1 on their mid laner, 3 on AD carry, and 1 on the support, while we also have a little bit of assists on Going. And on the other hand, it's all about Corrin and UZI.
Corrin UZI definitely the carries for their team, so all they need is for Cola and Insect to just get as tanky as possible. Now, Insect did finish his offensive jungle item, but he also actually, and this is true for both junglers, they picked up Sight Stones. And so this is a double Sight Stone start for both teams, and that is going to mean an incredible amount of boards. And I mean, sweepers have pretty decent cooldowns, so if you have 2 Sight Stones and can put out that many wards, it's almost impossible to deny your team vision when it comes to big objectives like that dragon.
And the third turret goes down in the top lane. We have 3-0 right now in favor of OMG. They just get whatever they want without any sign of contention from Starhorn. Because I never saw Starhorn even approaching the dragons. Now the turrets go down for free when they rotate down bottom lane.
Rotations bottom lane, and it'll be going now down there, and he'll actually be going up against the duo from Starhorn, who maybe got a little bit of a mixed memo. They're like, all right, where are we going with this? And the answer is UZI. Send him to solo farm, sit in bottom lane by himself, and let Zero actually roam to make the plays. Now, going. He's going to jump in, but he doesn't actually land the stun, and Insec is able to escape to the other side of the wall. Big pressure being put on by OMG after a roam through the Starhorn jungle. They'll look to turn that pressure into a conversion on a turret kill mid.
But as you said, now Starhorn just need Cola and Insec to get tanky, and Insec isn't tanky at all. He got chunked down right there, even if he didn't get the CC.
It's true. Insec actually has a Negatron cloak, and while that may be good to block out the magic damage, which every single member of OMG does, the problem is that San is 3-1 with a Trinity Force, and that's just going to be way too much damage. Look at that Mega Inferno Bomb damage deep behind the turret. UZI, Zero, they almost just died from the ult. And now San is going to take down the second tier mid lane turret. What was that damage from Cool? I don't know how he did it, but lands a great bomb. That'll be another turret for OMG.
That is the power of farm. He outfarms Korn completely. He didn't get any pressure around the middle lane. He died only once. And he just did whatever he wanted to. And once again, a free turret in favor of OMG, not a sign of contention from Starhorn. They could not do anything.
Not a whole lot of counterplay to a Ziggs ult. You either dodge it and are forced to move back from your turret and you lose the turret anyway. Or, in the best case scenario for OMG, they almost kill the bottom lane. They take the turret and they're able to recall, get back to base, buy up all their items with all that gold that they just got without being punished with an objective. So, perfect timing, the rotations from OMG giving them a 5-turret lead here over Starhorn.
Yeah, that is a big thing that it's really hard to come back from. So Starhorn really need to make the moves right now if they don't want to fall too far behind in gold, because OMG will just win every single team fight. They will just overpower them.
Drug's starting to clear out some ward coverage, and you can see Zero with the same thing on his mind, taking out that top lane at Tri-Brush ward. The scaling, though, is really starting to come into effect here. San, Cool, and Going, they've won out their lanes. Going may have a negative score, but it's his assists that have led to so many kills for San. And I just gotta say, OMG strong across the map. The one interesting thing I'd like to point out is the distortion boots upgrade for Cool. He's got essentially tier 3 boots, whereas Korn only has tier 1. And while that may be because Lulu can speed herself up already, so she doesn't necessarily need boots, the distortion for Cool is going to be huge. Lets him have Ghost and Flash, both on a very low cooldown.
Yeah, and he already had the boots for quite a long time right there. And now that Starhorn cannot really make the moves, it is just going to be about OMG. If they get caught out in some sloppy dive, that is the chance for Starhorn. Oh, and actually we had a lot of hopes in Starhorn's bottom lane. UZI and Zero, they were supposed to win big time against San and Data 7. San has kind of an inferior laning phase. Well, Data 7 is not the best support in the LPL, but actually it was San and Data 7 to come out on top, and OMG will take another dragon.
Yeah, OMG actually get the dragon for free, which is, I guess, kind of expected. Starhorn weren't really looking to force a fight, especially with UZI all the way up to top lane. But right before that, Cool actually caught Cola out of position. He pushed him back into the brush and actually forced him to teleport back to base. Well, I tell a lie, he didn't actually force Cola back to base. Cola actually just voluntarily TP'd him out of that situation, even though he was probably tanky enough to just run right by Cool and make it out alive. But no teleport for Cola, coming into this Baron, which is definitely on the minds of OMG. You can see perfect ward coverage all the way around.
Oh yeah, and Cola definitely not in the greatest position right now. Gets caught by the cocoon, but will be able to run away from there. So OMG, as I said, now they will look to overpower Starhorn, and if they get this Baron for free, well, this is the end of the game for SH.
Baron Nashor presides over the ending of almost every LPL game. He's like the 4th inhibitor. You have to kill him before the game ends, or you have to at least bait with him and then kill the entire enemy team. And with OMG's complete vision control of the entire river area around Baron, They can push and then back off to Baron. They can just bait out Baron if they want to, and it does look like the pushing option is where they're going.
Oh yeah, and why not? They always get the turrets for free. Starhorn is just too afraid to contest. And that's what happens again.
Top lane second tier turret, another objective for free for OMG, and while Dada may have gotten death sentence in there, he's only going to take a little bit of damage. Now, Zero actually forced a flash away from the wall of his own base. San, just incredibly strong, but oh, Insec, he's waiting for the flank. Insec going to come in behind. Going and split off to the bottom lane. A 3-man knock-up death sentence will pull San right into Corn. San will be able to flash back away. He's going to get inside the Cataclysm. Insec just gets melted there. The bottom lane survives for OMG in the back. Now, Cola will flash onto them. He's going to take out Drug. Can he kill San? He will be on top of him, and he does burn him down there with the agony. But look at Cola, he's killing everyone. Finally gets taken out, but evens the score up. A big performance in the back line. He got on him and just couldn't stop him.
Yeah, and UZI was still sitting in the back line and dishing out a little bit of damage, but he lost a lot of health at the very beginning of the fight. That's why he had to back away, and that's why Starhorn lost this fight. But actually, it was still quite close. Cola doing a great job in the front lines.
Exactly. Cole actually death sentenced San through almost everyone. San, I don't know if he like walked into the LPL playoffs with like magnets in his pocket or something, but it's kind of heat-seeking. Watch this death sentence come out from Nero. San is the most far back person and setting up a perfect knock-up Insect with a great flank. And now Insect will actually re-engage with that Lulu knock-up right in on to San. He gets blown apart there, but he leaves San very, very low. And with Drug flashing backwards, it's Cola time, and he'll be able to get back to the back line and pick up the only 2 kills of that fight for Starhorn.
And still a great job of chunking them down. And as we said, Cola and Insect need to get tanky. Cola made it, and he is quite useful to the team. Well, on the other hand, Insect, he just engages and goes down. Just to get a little bit more of the defensive stats, be able to stay alive.
OMG, once again, setting up around the Baron area. They have maintained almost perfect ward coverage of this for almost forever. San actually auto-attacked the Baron instead of the wards. I don't know if he was just A-clicking, but Cool took a little bit of damage off the Baron and was forced to back out of the pit. But once again, look at the ward coverage for OMG. Not only do they have 3 pink wards, or 2 pink wards rather, right around the Baron itself, they've got the entire upper jungle lit up as well. Although they did miss one crucial ward from Starhorn that will reveal that OMG aren't really thinking about Baron just yet.
Yeah, and OMG is pretty much in control of the whole map. It's not like Starhorn can really force them back or something like that. Oh, Drug now gets caught.
Just gets blown up there. Insect thought he was going in for a kill, finds one, but now it's actually going to be up to Cola. Can he stay alive long enough? Well, it's actually Core that dies next. The Mega Inferno Bomb. Now Cola's dead. Zero. There's no Wraith camps to repel to. He's not going to be able to get out of there alive, or death sentence to. Repels on Elise. Drug does go down, but he takes one for the team. A 5-man ace for OMG, and this could actually be the game.
No, and they did not even have to take the Baron to win the game. Not a lot of times we see such things happening, but it's just the 30th minute in the game, so the death timers are relatively short, and we have Insect already coming back to life, so I don't think that OMG will be able to close out the game right now, but still getting 2 inhibitors is a great deal.
Yeah, OMG will just go with the sure thing, dial down the middle and the bottom lane, taking out their inhibitors. I think OMG could have actually disengaged and gone right to Baron after that if they wanted the buff, but taking 2 inhibitors is just huge, because now all they have to do is either push the top lane, go straight to Baron and bait that one out, and just rely on the super minions, which are going to be massive at closing this out for OMG.
And now OMG come out massively on top, also in the kills. That's the only thing that they didn't have in this game, and now they even have it. So, still, will they be looking for the Baron? They have 2 inhibitors down, so they just need to make the push. Baron will definitely make it a lot easier. And now Starhorn, they have to defend the base or go for the Baron contention, so OMG can just bait them out again and go for the ace.
A red buff for UZI is actually going to be pretty big. He's got 4 of his 6 items, so you can't count that guy out. If there's anyone that's going to carry Starhorn, it's UZI. He's way ahead. He and Korn are both actually pretty farmed on items. But look at Cool. He actually picked up a Rylai's Crystal Scepter, which is interesting because it's more of a utility item, whereas you'd expect to see something like maybe a Zonya's Hourglass, or maybe a more defensive item with an offensive stat boost. So, interesting nonetheless. Cool, very far ahead as well, but I gotta point out the top lane. Almost 300 CS for Going versus Cola, who has just been completely outclassed all game long.
Yeah, and OMG was just farming incredibly well throughout the whole game on every single lane, but there comes Data7 with his godlike Braum.
Oh, Drug actually has to be careful. He was almost caught out there by UZI, but UZI didn't want to go for this. But with OMG actually forcing Starhorn outside their base with the turret push, they're actually losing their base with the super minions pushing in down bottom. And that almost certainly means that OMG will be able to take down not only this top turret, but also the inhibitor.
Oh, yeah, the turret is still alive, but it's not long because Starhorn, they have to defend their base. And OMG, they won't really have big problems with closing this one out. It's Starhorn who have the problems with closing games out. But OMG are definitely decisive. They are experienced.
Oh, Insect desperately looking for the engage. He gets sheeped and he'll finally get a two-man Jarvan ult, but cannot find any elves. And with the Mega Inferno Bomb coming in, it's just do dive through the turret. Zero, Korn, UZI, they're all trying to make it back to the fountain. UZI wants to turn around and fight. He might have the damage to do so, but he definitely doesn't have the team. And with super minions continuing to push in through the bottom lane, the mid lane, the top lane inhibitor is going to go down. It's the last Nexus turret barely alive. Can Starhorn hang on?
Oh, they cannot really do this. There's a lot of minions in the base, and now Going will take this one down, and OMG might actually look for a little bit of kills, but that might be the mistake.
Yeah, Going actually will die there, and with San actually flashing in onto UZI, he's going to send him back to the base. It's a game one win for OMG as they take out Starhorn Royal Club in a pretty dominant fashion. Not what a lot of people expected, but OMG looking very strong coming up against a Starhorn that knows all too well the taste of defeat.
Yeah, and that shows us that OMG really figured out how to play against Starhorn. They lost 2 games in the first best of 5 series, then they won 3, and now they will be winning over and over again because they know how to play against them. And actually, I didn't see a lot of aggression from Starhorn's bottom lane, and that's what they need to pull off. They need to come out on top of the inferior Sans laning phase and the Data7 pick.
Well, a great turnaround. We're going to watch yet another LPL Ice Bucket Challenge while we get it ready to hop into game number 2. It's the LPL in English on Twitch TV. Don't go anywhere.
这个亲身体验才知道这个病对于大家来说的这个感受是怎么样的，所以希望大家通过这个活动吧，然后大家看热闹的同时，更多的去关注 AS 这个病，或者说他们这些患病的这些人群，多捐款，然后少淋水吧，少点2个吧，点一个青龙是我们的经纪人，然后另外的话，点一个我的搭档小米，好，就他们俩了。